Hello, this is Ron Bergman coming to you during this Holy Week with a meditation at the request of Pastor Travis from North Isanti Baptist Church. Our theme today is His extravagant love calls for our extravagant response from Matthew 26, and we'll look more closely at that text in just a moment. But it's interesting how large a part of the Gospels are devoted to the experiences and the teachings of Jesus during what we call Holy Week, the time between Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday. In Matthew, we find a record of a woman who pours a flask of alabaster perfume on the head of Jesus. Other Gospels identify her as Mary, but not the mother of Jesus. This takes place just a day or two before Jesus is arrested and crucified. Jesus' response to this act of devotion was in stark contrast to that of the disciples. Text in Matthew 26, 6 and following. While Jesus was in Bethany in the home of a man known as Simon the leper, a woman came to him with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume, which she poured on his head as he was reclining at the table. When the disciples saw this, they were indignant. "Why this waste?" they asked. "This perfume could have been sold for a high price and the money given to the poor." Jesus was aware of this, and he said, "Why are you bothering this woman? She has done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, but you will not always have me. When she poured this perfume on my body, she did it to prepare me for burial. I tell you the truth, wherever this gospel is preached throughout the world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her." So we notice that this was a very expensive perfume, and the disciples became unglued. They said, "Jesus, what in the world are you doing? This money could have been given to the poor." And then Jesus asked, "Well, why are you bothering her?" Jesus is not happy with us when we bother his followers, and the disciples' take on this matter was quite different from that of Jesus, because Jesus says, "She has done a beautiful thing to me." So oftentimes the way Jesus looks at someone's actions may be quite different from ours. We should notice also the deeper meaning here, that she has done this in preparation for my burial, just a day or two before Good Friday, and that the account of her lavish love will be proclaimed in each generation. Well, what shall we do with all this? A question to ask is, how extravagant is our love and our response to the love of Jesus, who went all the way to the cross? In worship, for example, how comfortable are we with enthusiasm in worship? And I don't mean wild enthusiasm, but question of raising hands is just an example. Some feel free to do it, and some feel free not to do it. And that's the way it should be. But to go as far as one church did some time ago when I was serving as interim pastor, the decision was made by the leaders that if you wanted to raise your hands in worship during the music worship time, you would need to move to the rear of the auditorium. One idea in our private worship time that is perhaps a challenge for us in a small way, but one of our friends from Wisconsin contacted Carol and me, and she suggested, as she was doing to a lot of her friends, that we read aloud each day Psalm 91 as if we were reading it alone to the Lord. And we've been doing that and finding that to be a very meaningful time. A verse in Proverbs says, "A generous person will prosper, and he who refreshes others will be refreshed." And I think this is true of a church as well. A church that refreshes others will be refreshed, whether it's a benevolent fund, emphasis on mission, sending gift cards, helping people with tasks like yard work and other kinds of needs of that sort. Hebrews 3:13 says we should encourage one another daily. So there are a number of ways that we can, with enthusiasm, and be somewhat extravagant in our appreciation, with phone calls or texts or notes in the mail, phone calls asking if there's something we can pray with a person about, bringing a meal, shopping for someone, using the telephone. So it's helpful, even an idea, take a look in a concordance, check on passages relating to encouragement or oneness or serving. So as we reflect on his great extravagant love for us during this Holy Week, we can respond with extravagant love for him and in our service to others as well.